Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of Out of the Box.
So today's episode, May and I are going to be talking more about what our life was before social media.
I kind of miss it, I'm not going to lie.
I miss it and I don't, just because it's so different.
Yeah.
So many people might not know that May and I got a job right out of the gate. So as soon as we turned 16, we got a job. And this was instilled in us because our parents were like, you're driving now, you need to start making your own money if you want to do your own activities, if you want to go to dances. Like in high school, I had to pay for that.
Well, they also instilled in us where it's just money doesn't grow on trees.
Yeah.
You have to work for money, you have to put in the hard work. And the only way you're gonna get money is by doing that hard work.
Yeah.
So they really were really pushing us to be go get a part-time job or something. It was part-time in high school.
Mm-hmm.
It was super fun. Our first job was with the Seattle Seahawks, the NFL. And honestly, I never expected to get a job like that, but it has taught me so much because picture it, your part-time job with NFL, big ass company.
Yeah.
Very important people. You're only 16 and your coworkers were in college.
Yeah.
And when you're 16, you're what, a sophomore in high school? So, there was a huge difference between us and our coworkers.
Yeah.
And we had to, mature. We had to be able to do tasks and talk to important people high up in the company. It was really cool.
I feel like in that way, because we were pushed into an environment so mature for our age, I feel, we had to mature faster and know the difference between talking with our friends and then talking to our managers, but also coworkers, because you didn't want to seem like the 16-year-old to your coworker. You wanted to be we're on the same level, we respect each other the same. I know talking to our old boss now, because May and I stopped with that job a few years ago, but we're still in contact with our bosses, our old bosses. And they tell us to this day that we were the youngest people that they hired for that job, just because, I know in Seattle you have to be 15 and a half, 16, depending on the location. But we got the job when we were 15 and a half, but started
at
16.
The thing is with that, they had to deal with the legalization with hours, because when you're under 18, you aren't allowed essentially to work over, I think it's 12 hours or something.
I don't know.
Our work days, no lie, could easily take 12 to 16 hours.
Yeah.
Because especially with game day, as an example, kickoff would be at 1. We would have to be there at 4 a.m. And
4
then
or 5,
and then stay until at least the third quarter, because we would have to help with the halftime shows. Yeah. And if anyone knows football, those quarters are not slow. They have a set amount of...
fast.
They're not fast. They have a set time for each quarter, but it depends on penalties. It depends on the stopped clock and all of that. So one quarter could really be an easy hour and a half.
45 minutes.
Or half an hour. Sorry, half an hour. Not hour and a half, but half an hour.
Yeah.
Because a full game could easily be 3 hours.
Yeah. It was a lot, being in high school, too, because what was so good about this job was the fact that during in-season, we would work on the weekends. We knew every home game we were working, and then we were able to sign up for other events that the Seahawks held during the week if we were able to. But again, it was a part-time job, so we didn't have to sign up if we couldn't make it.
Yeah.
And that's what was nice about it, because if you could make more events, you were going to make more money than a part-time. But if you couldn't, you weren't held responsible for those events if you couldn't make it.
And those events were really fun. You were able to work with the players, work with the players' families, help out with the camps that were put on. Summer training camp, for those of you who know football, that was one of the main events for summer.
Yeah.
That I loved being able to do every single day for 2-3 weeks straight.
Yeah, so training camp is when the players obviously like are training in the off season, and fans can come and watch them on the pitch, which is really nice. We're at the headquarters every day. Usually it's always in the summer. So in Seattle, it's always a really nice weather.
It's in August.
It's in August or July, sometime between there, and it's always sunny. It's always hot. There's not really any like negative thing about it. Like, you come watch the players, you get to play games, you can.
It's also practically free.
Yeah, you pay like a small amount to come and sit, but like that just takes care of the fees that have to be paid. So it is really nice. But as a worker, you just get to spend your time all outside. Hanging with the fans, going back and forth inside and outside, depending on if the players need help or families need help.
Or just wherever you were located that day.
Yeah.
I know some days I was helping with ADA. The other days I was inside helping with paperwork or talking with people.
Yeah.
Or I was simply just, like, selling things there, like memberships and stuff.
And what was really nice about just being within the NFL specifically was that if you're a huge sport geek, like I know May and I, we loved sports. We were athletes.
Yeah.
Whatever. And so to see the behind the scenes of what it takes to be an NFL team was really interesting. Like, not a lot of the departments are spoken about. You don't really get to see the people behind the players and what really makes the team.
Like, you really don't realize all of the hard work that goes into an event. It could be small, it could be huge, but even the small ones, like, take so much time to set up.
Yeah.
And all of the little details, like, because with NFL, you have to pretty much be perfect. Like,
yeah.
There's
not
not
a lot
really
of room to mess up.
Yeah, exactly.
And mess up in a way where it's like, what we've been told the entire time we were working is, you are the head of the Seahawks. You are the face. You are the point contact for some of these fans who will never come back to the Seahawks or an event like this. So you need to be spot on. You need to be, like, professional. You need to be the face of the company because this is their first interaction with the company.
Yeah.
And so that was in itself really, like, honorable, I guess, because you did kind of have to be the face without really knowing it. You're not a player, so no one's going to be like, oh, like, I saw him today, blah, blah, blah.
But if you think about it, customer service, the marketing,
I interacted with these people, and like, it was great.
Every little thing
Yeah.
definitely is either going to be a negative or a positive reaction with fans, speaking in this term with the Seattle Seahawks fans.
Yeah.
Because again, like you said, a lot of these people will come to these events and they've waited so long to even get a ticket to one of them, or just to be a part of it, or they traveled so far.
Yeah.
I know I talked to a few people, and these people travel from states to come here to just watch a game or to be a part of a camp. And I was just like, wow.
Yeah. So that was a lot about our high school job. It did take us into college for a couple of years, but because we moved away, we weren't able to come back as often for the home games. So we eventually had to not quit, but just like move on from that job.
But that job lasted us for at least 4 or 5 years.
6 years.
6 years.
It was 6 years.
6 years?
It was 6 years. And I remember that because everybody was, like, leaving, and we would come back, like, occasionally for games, and no one that we started with was there. And so it was really, like, as soon as you start, like, seeing your friends leave that you started with, you kind of, like, either need to decide, okay, it's my time to leave too, or is this something that I want to stay with because I see a future with it? And because I think a lot of our friends, like, we were, like, one of the longest people there, like, whatever, but yet we were only still 22, 23. But because of college, like I said, we couldn't come back, so we just had to kind of move on. And this led us all the way up until probably COVID.
Literally, I put in my notice during COVID.
Yeah.
Because, well, one, they weren't doing anything for a while, and two, I was just like, I think it's time, everyone I know is gone. Not that job sucked after everyone left, but all your friends are gone. You're not around as much. You just don't have as much time in your schedule. And so I was like, okay, like, it's time to move on. Yeah. But that's when TikTok popped up.
Yeah, so what a lot of you guys might not know is that May and I never once sat down and said, hey, let's start being influencers.
Yeah, never once.
If you told me that like, we would be doing influencing or content creating in high school, I would laugh in your face, because I never thought this was a route for me and you, ever. And then COVID happened, and we posted one video. I don't know how we got onto TikTok. I think you had the app before me.
Yeah,
honestly.
I remember downloading it and then starting to watch some stuff, but not really anything about it. I thought it was going to be, like, Musical.ly, but, like, we never even
I never had Musical.ly.
And so I was just like, ugh, what's the big deal? And then COVID hit, and I was like, this is where everyone's going to get their entertainment, because there's nothing going on at the moment.
Yeah.
And so I saw a funny video, and I was like, gee, put this up. I need you to react to it. And it was a duet. And it was an immature video, obviously.
Yeah.
It goes with my humor. And I just wanted to see how G reacted, and that's what took off. So it was not something we personally did.
No. Like, I don't honestly even remember downloading the app.
I don't remember downloading the app either, but I do remember what started it all.
I do too. Like, I remember, like, that duet blew up, and blew up, I mean, like,
a few 100,000.
Like, a few 100,000, and I thought that was, like, a lot.
Yeah,
because,
me too.
like, oh my god, like, we didn't even try anything, and this is getting hundreds and thousands of views. And I kept texting my mom and dad, and I was like, oh my god, we hit 100 followers. Oh my gosh, we hit 1,000 followers. Like, it was at every milestone that we thought it was, because this was not a thing for us. And then once we started doing, I think, dances, that really picked it up for us. And the fact that we were twins, we were color coordinating, we had our own styles, May's gay, I'm straight. A lot of people found that very interesting.
Yeah.
Which is, yes, I understand, like, it is interesting. But there are other twins who are exactly like May and I, who are completely different. But I think it's also the fact that May and I were in school still.
Yeah.
That made it relatable, because once you become a content creator, many creators see the growth and engagement that they have with their audience, and they quit whatever they were doing.
Like, we personally know a few big creators now on TikTok who went to our college.
Yeah.
Same class.
Yeah.
Two of them was in the same class as us.
Yeah.
And then the other one was a freshman, right? For the three people that, like, we're talking about, Noah Beck, Alyssa McKay, and Maddie Westbrook. I don't know if you guys follow them on TikTok or whatever, but they're all pretty big. And they all went to UP.
And were in the same class.
Two of them were in the same class as us. Noah, I'm pretty sure, was like a year behind us.
Yeah.
Or even 2. I don't even remember. But they all dropped out. Maybe not for social media.
Yeah.
But they all dropped out after starting on their social media platforms.
Yeah. And we were still in school, and we saw each and every single one of them leave. Yeah. And May and I were, like, kind of in a position where we're like, okay, well, we're growing, but I don't have, the money to move to LA like they did. I don't have any opportunities. No content houses were reaching out. No, like, at that time, we didn't have managers, we didn't have
Mm-hmm.
anybody. It was just May and I strictly posting, not knowing what the hell we were doing. And at that time, you were not getting paid on TikTok.
Yeah, no.
So we were just posting, and so we didn't understand that you can make a job out of it.
Mm-hmm.
And so we kind of talked with our parents, and they said, like, stick with school until you get an opportunity. If a content house or something allows you to move and you still have the funds to live, like, then yeah, you can do that. But if you don't have any outlets yet, stay in school, go continue what you're doing, do this as a hobby, because it was a hobby at that time. And, get your degrees, because it doesn't hurt to have a degree. Like, if this all goes to shit, you have something to back it up.
Mm-hmm.
And that is what I think really pushed me and you, because we were sophomores at the end of sophomore year when COVID hit. And so we were
semester, yeah.
already halfway through.
Like, I've cried way too much to, like, stop.
Yeah.
Even though part of me really did want to stop, because if you can think about it, we went from 0 followers to a few 100,000 within 2 weeks. Days. And then we jumped from 500,000 to a mil in a week, less than that.
Yeah.
And then it just ramped up from there. Like, in a blink of an eye, it felt like we were at 3 mil already.
Yeah.
And by then, that's when I was just like, maybe we can do something.
Yeah. So
with this.
When we hit around 3 million, I know a management company came to us and we signed with them for a year, and that was great and whatnot. And then our current management team came to us, and they've been amazing. We've been doing great.
Love them.
And now we've made it into a full-time job. But a lot of people also don't know is that you can be a content creator, make it a full-time job, and still not be making minimum wage.
Yeah.
And so May and I are also personal trainers, because you have to live and make money to live. And so
I also don't think people understand, like, the payouts.
Yeah.
When it comes to brand deals and stuffs. And honestly, I'll tell you, because it's not embarrassing, it's not any of that. And a lot of these content creators are on this type of payroll, you just don't know about it. But, like, for example, if we're doing a brand deal, right, these payouts can either be 30 or 60-day payouts, or right away. It depends on the company. But usually you could finish a video, right, and whatever, you have a contract with how much you're going to make, but then you won't see that money for another month or even 2-3 months later down the road. So you kind of have to, like, budget yourself, because you're just like, okay, one, you don't know when the next payment is going to come in. That's the one thing I actually hate about this, is I don't have a set, what do you call it, paycheck?
Every 2 weeks, you don't get a paycheck.
Yeah, it's not like a normal job where, like, you know when you're gonna get paid next. It just depends on your brand deals, when those payouts are. So it can get kind of tricky, and that's also why we have part-time jobs, so we can, like, buff ourselves if we need to.
Yeah.
And we also just love being trainers in general.
Yeah. But another thing about, like you said, brand deals and whatnot, what a lot of people don't understand is, as soon as you hear a number, let's say, right, like, oh, I got this brand deal for this much, that's the only thing you hear. And so, like May said, you don't see okay, well, they're not going to get that until 90 days later.
Yeah.
And that might be their only big brand deal for that year. And so, like you said, like, you need
like months.
Yeah. For months. And so that whatever payment needs to budget you for the next so on months.
Yeah.
And I don't know where you live, but in Seattle, it's super expensive, not let alone rent, but groceries. We have 2 dogs. We have to split everything between me and you, because there's 2 of us. And so it makes it so much more difficult. And so when people are like, oh, but, like, you're rich, blah, blah, blah. No. Some creators are not rich. And I know, like, that's just based off, like, well, you're working on it, you're getting there. But it's also just in general, like, you never know. So, yes, there are creators making millions.
Oh, yeah.
But
there's also
creators,
thousands of creators who aren't even making even
bare minimum
$50,000.
Yeah,
I would say,
and it's their full-time job.
Yeah, so that's just a side of it that like a lot of creators don't talk about. Which I get. You don't want to talk about your money. You don't want to talk about your finances. But I think we should be able to talk about realistically, and why it could be hard, because like you said, people love to jump to the conclusion that like if you are an influencer you get paid this thousands of dollars and stuff, when really that's not the case, literally at all.
Yeah, and a lot of people are fortunate to grab like $1 million collaborations and whatnot, but a lot of those creators have either one made it really big and are a name for themselves.
And when we say big, we mean like Charli D'Amelio.
Like Noah Beck, like all of them probably are in $1 million deals right now.
Yeah.
And so like
easy.
You one need to have a name. Two, you need to be able to like naturally connect with the collaboration, and like your content need to be natural, and that is really hard when you don't have a name for yourself because brands don't know you.
And if a brand does come to you, you know, you want to be organic with your content.
Yeah.
You don't want to brand things that literally don't even work with you, because one, it seems insincere. Two, do you even give a shit about the company? Like, or are you just doing this for money? And I know people that do both, that do it just for the money, they do it whatever, but like when it comes to Gia and I, we try our best to really only do brands that like work with us, and if we won't use it, we're not going to sell it, we're not going to do anything with it. Because again, it's not all just about money. I don't think fans even like seeing tons and tons of advertising that they don't give a shit about, and you can tell that the creator doesn't give a shit either.
Yeah.
So it's a balance.
Yeah. But along the gist of being creators now, like the one thing that I don't necessarily like either is the fact that you're always working. And it's not like, yes, we get to have a flexible schedule, but you also have to think of like income wise. If you're not posting one day, you're not making money that day. No matter what. Like you're just not making money. And so like that's kind of like the pro and con you kind of have to weigh when you are a content creator. Like, okay, I've been working for 5 days. If I take one day off, I'm gonna be okay, but do I really like want to miss a day of potentially making money, you know? And so the stress of that, but also like you get opinions people don't want. You get, stalkers.
There could be we could do another video on like the negatives of being an influencer or content creator, whatever you want to call it, because there are negatives, you know, just like with any other job, there will be negatives. I just don't think people want to hear them, because it comes off as we're complaining when people think that being a content creator is all this and that and it's so easy, blah 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 blah. But the only thing I want to say is, for people who think it's so easy, try it out.
Yeah.
Do it.
Spend a day doing it.
See what it's like. And if you make it and you hit it, great. But you'll realize it's actually not as easy as you think.
Yeah.
You need to be relatable. You need to be funny. You need to be entertaining. You need to get reactions out of people. You need all of these things to make people hooked on you. To do well.
And what's frustrating too is when you've made it, right? You have to keep up the stamina to do it.
Yeah.
And that is so hard, because it is so tiring some days and weeks, and obviously you guys can probably see it in our TikToks when we're not so excited, we're tired, we're drained, we're not posting as much. It's because it's tiring.
But see, that's the difference with us, is like I like to show you, like, what you get is what you see is what you get, with me at least.
Yeah.
I'm gonna not try to hide my feelings or whatever. I can play a role, but I choose not to. I want to be my authentic self. I want you guys to see exactly what I'm going through, because I'm just like you guys. We're just like you. I hate people, or I hate those influencers who think that they're above everyone else and on this huge ass platform that no one can touch, And I'm just like, can you be relatable for once?
Yeah.
Like, be relatable once, so if when I'm at home struggling or going through my feed, I know you also struggle.
Yeah.
And it's not just this, like, perfect life.
Yeah.
Or whatever. Because you can have so much money and be completely miserable.
Yeah. And trust us, May and I are not perfect. We're not always, like, best friends. We're not like this and that, and a lot of people are like, oh, I wish I had the same relationship with my sister like you do, and blah blah blah. Like, yeah, like, we do have, like, a great relationship, but we're not 100% giddy. We're not 100%
She's not my best friend.
Yeah. And
like, with people who are like, is she your best friend? No. Straight up, no.
No. And that's okay. And that's where we've gotten in our relationship, where it's like, she can have her own best friends, I have my own best friends. Like, we're not jealous of each other. We know we're there for each other and this and that, but, like,
when it comes to it, yeah, I'll be there for you no matter what.
Yeah.
But on another hand, it's just like, I've told other people or someone things I've never ever told you. So,
yeah.
like,
and that's normal, and
it's
that
like
should
that,
be regular
yeah.
with other siblings, especially identical twins. Like, you don't have to be each other's best friend.
Yeah. No.
Even though we're told growing up, like, you guys are going to be best friends. Like, you guys need to stick together. Yes, stick together, but you don't have to be there 24/7.
Yeah, we're not like other sets of twins where, like, we have to do every single thing together.
Yeah.
Or, like, we can't live without each other. Like, oh my god, do not even get me started on that, like, Extreme Sister show.
Yeah.
Because, my god, when I was watching that, I was like, gee,
we're never doing
never,
this.
ever doing this. So it's weird, because a lot of people are just like, when you hear twins, you hear besties, you hear your number one person, or whatever it is. When people ask me, be like, don't you love being a twin? I'm just always like, how does it feel like to have a sibling? Like, it's just a sibling,
Yeah.
in my opinion. Yeah, we have, like, a great bond, kind of.
Yeah. I feel
Maybe
like we have
the way
a closer bond, but I don't think it's any much different than siblings.
I think the way we communicate, obviously, can be a little iffy, but, like, we do have a close bond.
Yeah.
But, yeah, no. We're not as close as what a lot of people think.
Yeah. Well, that was just a little bit about May and I. Obviously, we touched on a lot of bases. So if there's anything specific that you guys think would be interesting to go more in depth with, let us know. But that is the end of today's episode. And make sure to subscribe and share. But also just keep listening, keep loving, and enjoy the journey you're on.
We'll see you in the next episode.
Bye.
Bye.